Korea, China, and Japan have had many developmental influences by conflicting and outside global interaction. We believe that China has had the most and greatest amount of influence out of these countries.
In the 20th century, Japan started its Industrial Revolution, which helped the country to grow tremendously. Japan became a very powerful country as it started its expansion into Asia. It started to become noticed by other powerful countries like Great Britain, who wanted to become allies of Japan. During World War II, Japan created a major global conflict between Japan and the United States after the bombing at Pearl Harbor. This later led to the nuclear bombing in Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Unlike China and Japan, Korea is an isolated country until Japan began their expansion into Asia. Korea refused to trade with Japan, but they were determined. Japan forced Korea to open trade with Japanese merchants. This led to the Russo-Japanese War, which Japan won. Eventually, Japan had completely taken over Korea, so they had to consult with Japan when interacting with any other country. These conflicts made Korea struggle in the earlier years, but allowed them to create what they are today and become a more successful country after their hardships.
The Boxer Rebellion of 1900 was one of the main consequences that led to the fall of the Qing dynasty after almost 3,000 years of ruling over China. After the fall of the dynasty, Sun Yat-sen was declared president on January 1st, 1912, and created a new government with a Senate and a lower house, which also created and called for a new constitution. This raised and increased the tensions between the communist and the nationalist parties. The country all of a sudden split into communist and nationalist groups. This altogether led to the Chinese Civil War, which was fought between the nationalists and the communists. The nationalists were led by Sun Yat-sen, and the communists were Mao Zedong. After this conflict, which resulted in the communists winning and the nationalists having to flee to Taiwan and putting Mao Zedong in power, the communists underneath Mao Zedong created and influenced the Chinese citizens to do differently. But before the communists could do so, World War II broke out, which greatly influenced China unlike any other country.
Although these countries have many differences, they had one similarity, which was their economies.
In Japan, China, and Korea, plus Taiwan, they were considered Asian tigers because of their successful economies.
These countries were considered or nicknamed Asian tigers because their economies were highly free and fast developing countries in Asia. They were mostly notable for their high GDP rates and due to their fast and rapid industrialization.